Hi! I am going to be counting down for the 15th anniversary of the PlayStation 2's release in North America, since I kind of missed the boat on its Japanese release. And I guess most people listening to this speak English anyway, so I guess that works out, whatever. I'm going to be counting down my top 15 PlayStation 2 games. Keep in mind, I am not putting Konami games on here because my last list was top 10 Konami games, and you probably don't want to hear me repeat myself. And also, one per series, and there are going to be many games that people adore that I don't put on this list because I don't like them as much, or I haven't played them, or I just don't like them in general, or whatever. So, yeah, here's my list. Enjoy. Number 15. Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus. It's very possible that Sly 2 and 3 are better. However, this is a beloved series I didn't get into until recently. I only finally purchased the original game a couple years ago. That being the case, I haven't put any time into the rest of the series, save for a demo of Thieves of Time for the PS2. Anyway, I must admit to feeling pretty stupid upon finally playing it. Even for a first entry, the controls, personality, creativity, and atmosphere are already performed almost flawlessly. The characters are great, the platforming is fun and gives me a Crash Bandicoot vibe in some segments, which is always a plus, and some of the boss battles are really fun. What keeps it from climbing higher, aside from the nostalgia I'm sure many people have for it, is that the game can get tedious at times. Some segments require brutally precise timing that's more luck-based than skill-based. There are also many levels, or at least sections of levels, that feel very similar, and therefore there are times that you're immediately bored of a level structure you've seen before you even start the mission. Add in the frustrating mini-games, and an amazing experience is pushed down a bit. Still an excellent game though, as it beat out many other great games. Number 14, Devil Kings. A little over a year ago, I rented this awesome looking PS3 game from GameFly called Sengoku Basara. It took everything Dynasty Warriors had done and just blew it out of the fucking water. The characters and storylines are so much deeper and more creative. Each character is wildly different in combat and utilizes far more diverse weapons and skills than those in the aforementioned series. And it's an absolute blast to play, along with being far more challenging. However, upon looking into the series, I found that this was, in fact, the third in the series, not counting spin-offs, and the second release in North America. First game being titled Devil Kings for its North American release, because them Americans don't like foreign words. I don't know. Basically, even at the time, Devil Kings was blowing away Dynasty Warriors in every way. Which doesn't mean I hate Dynasty Warriors, I thoroughly enjoy it, but these games offer so much more. Its own unique and deep lore, awesome characters, amazing depth in combat, and a great musical score. Number 13, Gran Turismo 3, Respect. While not my favorite racing series, it's definitely among the best, as well as being among the few of its type that's exclusive to PS2. I loved Twisted Metal Black as a kid, and while it was in consideration for its list, going back to it, I don't find it quite as enjoyable as many other games. The reach of trying super hard to be dark without knowing what that means. A lot of the levels are bland, and there's low variety in the game modes. Also, the controls can be horribly floaty at times. As for Gran Turismo 3, it still holds up very well. It's one of the best feeling racing games out there. It has a massive amount of cars to choose from, and a relentless number of races and challenges to compete in. Despite being an early PS2 game, it's still one of the best looking games on the system, and having had my copy for over half my life, there are so many things in the game I haven't even touched yet. This is still among the best and deepest racing experiences ever made. Number 12, Ratchet & Clank, Up Your Arsenal. Much like Sly Cooper, Ratchet & Clank was another now beloved series I didn't pay attention to during the PS3 era. However, I can honestly say that I missed out on some of the best pure fun on the console. Massive weapon and enemy variety, huge levels, perfect controls, and a cheat code that gives you a fucking double-bladed lightsaber. Combined with the surprisingly well-done Captain Quark-centric 2D side-scrolling, makes Ratchet & Clank an expertly crafted mix of humor and fun, with Up Your Arsenal obviously being the one I thought best exemplified this. Its simplicity keeps me from having a rush of adoration and memories like some of the other games on this list, but it's a perfect execution of pure mayhem in game form. Number 11, Guilty Gear XX Accent Core. While Arc System Works has long been legendary among fans of the fighting genre, the games have always gone underappreciated by the mainstream market. They've never released a port fighting title that I'm aware of, and franchises like Super Sonic Warriors, BlazBlue, Persona 4 Arena, and of course Guilty Gear are all adored franchises. Guilty Gear is the oldest and most polished of these series. Like many of its contemporaries, it slowly built up a diverse and awesome cast of both awesome and bizarre characters, with fighting styles unique to both them and fighting games in general. Guilty Gear X got me into the series, but not having a chance to play the most recent entry. XX Action Core is among the most polished, not only in the series, but among fighting games as a whole. It controls perfectly, it's absolutely gorgeous, the soundtrack is perfect for a fighting game. It would likely be higher if I had more time with it than just recently, but it's among the best fighting games I've ever played. Number 10. Okami. This counts because it wasn't released on the Wii until 2 years later, meaning Capcom clearly had no plans for this to be anything but an exclusive at the time. Okami is the most recently played game on this list for me, so obviously it did something special to crack the top 10. I actually gave it a try, not expecting much, because I figured it was one of the only small investment games I felt I needed to try before making this list. So basically the only non-RPG. Though my backlog is still pretty extensive, and this list might be completely different in a few years. I must admit, I was very stunned by how much I loved this game. From its gorgeous watercolor painting world, to its crazy designs, the awesome rust-themed powers, the humor, and the perfect mix of feudal Japan and high fantasy made it an absolute pleasure to play all the way through. Not to mention the beautiful soundtrack and creative boss fights. Reviewers weren't lying when they said it was the best 3D Zelda game yet. If you think Ocarina of Time is something special, I dare you to play this and say that to my face. Number 9. Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. I count this one because it was always planned as a PS2 exclusive, from the marketing to its debut at E3 and the like. Now it's leaving the official Xbox green light until half a year later. Baldur's Gate is among my favorite gaming franchises, is one of the most heralded by PC gamers. And this is the entry that introduced me, and basically anyone who didn't play PC games at the time, to the name. It was the first in the series not helmed by BioWare, but instead Snowblind Studios. Snowblind took a more Diablo real-time approach to the gameplay, as it implemented a different D&D system, which I don't know the specifics of, but its pacing is about in between Diablo 2 and the original Baldur's Gate. Anyway, Dark Alliance basically introduced the isometric RPG to consoles, and a surprising success. It sold over 1 million units and received a sequel, with the third game never seeing the light of day. Dark Alliance still plays beautifully compared to any modern RPG, has some of the most beautiful visuals on the system, has both intense and witty dialogue and characters, and has a superb leveling system that adds tons of replay value. Outside of the same developer's later projects, there isn't really another game on the console like it, and luckily, it's among the best of its kind on any platform. Number 8. Yakuza, or however you want to pronounce it. Yakuza is easily one of the most overlooked game franchises, basically being the spiritual successor to Shenmue. Yakuza curb stomps what its massive open-world, crime-centered brethren, GTA, which I do love, was doing at the time. The story is powerful, the characters are extremely complex, and it's one of the more emotionally potent games out there. I've played most of the original and Sima 4, but if the reviews for the games in between are any indication, I'm in for a treat when I finally finish this one. The game still looks amazing, and later games are among the best looking for the PS3 and PS4. The world you can explore is massive and almost entirely interactive. You can get lost doing odd jobs, playing arcade games, buying and running companies, and the like. It's still a little like Yakuza, providing a huge open world to get lost in, while giving RPG fans a deep leveling system and amazing story, while even providing an almost Tekken-esque combat system for the fighting game fans. I myself am a fan of all three, so obviously I like it. If I had finished it prior to this, or didn't have nostalgia for most of the rest of the list, or the PS2's library wasn't so monstrously amazing, this would probably be much higher up. Number 7. God of War. I honestly expected this to be in my top 5 when I decided to make the list, even knowing the PS2 is probably my favorite console, which I suppose goes to show just how excellent its games are. The God of War trilogy is among the most excellent of video games in my opinion, and 2 is probably the best, but I have the most personal adoration for the original. I still vividly remember how in awe I was of the opening sequence, being stuck on a ship with hordes of enemies in the middle of a storm, with unprecedented graphical fidelity for the time and an epic orchestral score, quickly plowing through your enemies and making your way through the ship before fighting a fucking Hydra is the first boss that you defeat by slamming its fucking head into a sharpened mask. God of War is awesome. Number 6. Disgaea, Hour of Darkness. Disgaea is a very hard game to grasp without experiencing it for yourself. It's a tactical RPG in the vein of Final Fantasy Tactics or Fire Emblem, but it's so much more than that. Its gameplay is diverse enough to stand out, its recruiting mechanics give it pretty much endless replayability. It's among the toughest and longest games on the console to complete, and it's oozing with its own distinct personality. It not only utilizes a very anime-inspired art style, but a very anime-inspired story and character structure as well. It balances the story as serious as being the King of Demons' son, awakened from a long dormancy and dedicated to claiming his father's throne for himself, and ninja penguins. The humor is great, the gameplay is great, and the game itself is absolutely massive. Though there are 5 games in the series now, all great games, this entry alone will keep you sated for hundreds of hours if you feel so inclined. Number 5. Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3. I'm a massive Dragon Ball fan. I don't care how much people oversell the length of the fights, how popular it is, none of that affects its quality. It has amazing characters, great action, and gripping drama. One of the best things about its popularity in the 2000s was its fighting games. It was fairly close between this and Budokai Tenkaichi 2, but as a fighting game experience, this is definitely the superior product. The original Budokai was impressive for its time and its sequel was an improvement, but Budokai 3 was a revolution of a game. Not only am I a Dragon Ball fan, but I also love 2D fighters like Street Fighter, King of Fighters, Guilty Gear, and the like, as well as many lesser known games I may make a list of at some point. My point is that, having recently played it, Budokai 3 is still one of the best fighting games I've ever had the pleasure of playing. The controls are smooth, utilizing the stereotypical easy to play but hard to master mechanic. It has a huge cast of characters from the original Dragon Ball all the way through GT, and makes every single one play differently. Add to that the story mode, the customizable loadouts, and the insane amount of bonus challenge content, and you have a game that will keep Dragon Ball and fighting fans coming back almost endlessly. Also, if you can, get the HD remaster. It's about the same price, and it's fucking gorgeous. Number 4. Devil May Cry 3, Dante's Awakening. Devil May Cry 3 is among the later titles on this list, but over a decade later, it's still one of the best action-adventure, hack-and-slash things ever released. The combos are slick and the controls are perfect. It's intense and difficult, but fair enough to keep you going. The story is probably the only really interesting one in the series. All of the boss fights are spectacular, and Dante himself is just fucking awesome. Not just because he looks cool, but he's the king of the smart-ass badass, and doles out some of the best quips in video game history while you're juggling demons in midair with bullets, or spinning your sword around on your fingertips. There's not a whole lot to say about this kind of game. It's a simple game type, but done to perfection with deep combat, a good story, great characters and fights, and a perfectly fitting soundtrack. Also, that opening cutscene is among the greatest things to ever grace a video game. Number 3. Shin Megami Tensei Persona 4. Persona 3 and 4 could have both easily been in this spot for me. While I think Persona 3 creates a more intense atmosphere, 4 has a deeper city to explore, but 3 has a larger cast, 4 has a more consistently memorable characters. 3 makes the main character the focal point, whereas you're part of something bigger in 4. They both have amazingly well-crafted narratives within their very different themes, and only controlling your character in 3 or controlling all 3 of them in 4 both have their subtle strengths and weaknesses. Overall, it comes down to preference. 3 is a damn near masterpiece, as is 4, but I just enjoy 4 a little bit more. I adore choice and character interaction in RPGs, and this idea has more depth to it in Persona 4. I also considered Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne and Shin Megami Tensei Digital Devil Saga games their own entries, as they're both stellar games. The fact that I haven't gotten all that far in either, and it making it even harder to narrow down this list, kept me from doing so. Now that my rant is over, much like its predecessor, Persona 4 is, in the simplest terms, about the simultaneous struggle of maintaining a social life in a new town, performing well in school, and of course hunting demons as part of an investigation into a murderous conspiracy plaguing said town. Well, I guess the reason you're hunting the demons is different in Persona 4 than 3, but the gist is about the same. It's rife with plot twists, lovable characters, a fun atmosphere that can be crushingly intense when it decides to. The only great J-pop I've heard to this day, Persona 3 notwithstanding, and a massive amount of depth to the battling and demon summoning aspects. It will make RPG nuts salivate when they're not busy with one of the better mystery stories I know of. Honestly, if I wasn't oozing with nostalgia for the top two, this easily could have taken either of those spots. It's near perfect in every way. Number 2, Tekken Tag Tournament. Tekken Tag Tournament is probably my favorite fighting game of all time. I have fond memories of annihilating my grandparents' coin purse when this came out in the arcades. It was also the game I got with my PS2. Number 1 is likely the only game on this list I sank more hours into, and it's among the few fighting games I've played enough to actually say I think I'm good at. There's not a whole lot to say about it. It's a 2D fighting game, but it's one of the best series ever, and this is the best entry in it, in my opinion. And Tekken Tag still holds up absurdly well today, and I dare you to find a higher quality fighting game even in 2015. Number 1, Final Fantasy X. Final Fantasy X is possibly my favorite game of all time. I can't say that for certain. It would take a lot of self-debate to come to that conclusion, but it's one of a very few runners for first place. I feel it was shunned by many serious fans upon release because it added voices to the characters and switched up leveling and battle mechanics in ways still very rarely seen today. What lies underneath all this horrible "it's different" stuff is a massive piece of a game in my opinion. It's still one of the most beautiful games on the system, and maybe in general, both in terms of graphical quality and artistic design. Said visual fidelity is only enhanced by the absolutely awe-inspiring soundtrack that I dare say hasn't been matched since. Even with all that notwithstanding, the actual gameplay is a blast. The quick and fluid animations, the swapping mechanic, and the wide variety of enemies mean every battle plays out differently, unless you're brutally overpowered, as with many RPGs, and even level grinding never gets stale. That being said, I played this game for the first time when I was 10, having no concept of leveling, and beat it with a high level of difficulty, so it can be as challenging or rewarding as you want it to be. The aforementioned leveling system is also great. It's structured almost like a crazy Chinese checkers board with different segments with different boosts you can unlock like extra health and new spells. The genius part is that you can move each character anywhere on the board when leveling, leading to a near infinite number of different combinations that lead to every character never playing the same, and sometimes dramatically differently. The game also boasts tons of extra content like super bosses, an arena where you can challenge massively powerful monsters, secret summons, weapons, and areas, and a surprisingly fun blitzball sport that you can partake in at any save point and recruit teammates from all around the world for. All this enhances an already amazing experience within a massive and vibrant environment with a rich and often tragic backstory and underbelly, with one of the deepest stories, both personally and globally, one of the best villains ever, the best boss battles in my opinion, and an overall wonderful experience that I think everyone should partake in. Hope you liked the list, and if you didn't, I guess that sucks. We all have different opinions, even though obviously mine is the best. And yeah, if you liked it, it'd be awesome if you liked and commented maybe some of your favorites that I didn't list, or how much you agree with me and think I'm the greatest human alive, or fond PS2 memories, or whatever. Or you could not do any of that. I mean, that's cool too. I just appreciate it is all. So, yeah. Have a good day and stuff. Bye.